Hello again, many thanks for joining us. My name is Ernest Mino. This is your election headquarters, and the Electoral Commission is starting training exercises for over 40,000 officers for the new voters registration exercise. JoyNews understands that a number of officers, including regional directors and their deputies, as well as regional supervisors, their deputy registration supervisors, district electoral officers, among others, have already been taken through special training regimes. We have on stream the Director of Training of the Electoral Commission, Michael Boydu. He joins us for some quick updates and education on the process. Mr. Boydu, thank you very much for joining us. Now, what is the exact number captured so far for the training program?
Thank you very much. We are looking at a total of 42,457 people to train. We started the training already. It took off from the 16th of June, and we are still going through by 24th of that's 6th of May. Sorry. So by 24th of June, we would have finished with the training. Now the training is cascaded. We have three-leg or three-tier training approach. Yeah, so we are doing the KTT already. We've done the KTT already. We are now doing the TOT, from which we will go to the grassroots training. And so by Saturday, the grassroots training will take off.
We understand that you already set a date for the registration exercise proper, but tell us about the grassroots training. Who are those involved? Who qualifies to be an officer, for instance?
Good. The grassroots training will be training some categories of people. They are as follows. The data entry clerks who will be handling the kits will be trained. Then we will also train the registration officers, and they will do fill in all the necessary forms, the Form 1A and other related registration forms. In fact, it is the registration officers that will be in charge of the registration centers. After this, we have other two categories of officials to also train during this grassroots. We have the registration assistant in charge of lamination. And then we have another registration officer, special duty. His duty or her duty will be to export the data on daily basis. And so he or she transports the list of officials, voters registered on daily basis to the district office, and then it's later also exported to the database in Accra. So basically, we have four categories of officials to train during this grassroots exercise.
And I'll come to the group of people you're using for this, but we're looking at the time frame. Are you sure that within now and the next few days you'll be able to go through the training program as planned so that we can have a successful registration?
Yes, I can confidently say that we will go through the process as planned. A lot of thinking has gone through this, a lot of planning, and so having taken it off, we know we will see through to the end. We don't see any obstruction as of now, and so we will be able to deliver as expected. Yeah.
And closely related is the issue of the acceptance of documents, how one can prove it's his or her nationality. We know that there's already a case in court. The minority is also considering another case. Will these issues have any impact on the training program that you're having already, that you're starting soon?
No. Okay. We are going on with the training. Should there be a change in the modality, depending on the outcome of the court case, we will have a way of communicating that to our operatives. And so we would not do anything contrary to the law. So whatever the decision is, and we will have a way of communicating to operatives even after the training for them to carry them it through. So it will not affect our training at all.
I want to talk about the individuals that you're using for this training. In the past, the EC has used teachers and sometimes professional groups as officers for the election. Is that happening this year, or it is just opened to anyone who wants to partake in this?
Okay, let me take you back to how we started this recruitment process.
Yeah.
We made an advert, and so people who were interested put in their applications. We did a shortlisting and we interviewed them across the country. Interview panel were instituted to do this interview across the country. And so the list that we have as the outcome of the interview, those who did well. And if you should go through the list, of course, there are a lot of teachers also, professionals, because experience counts. And in an interview, you're looking out for experience, you're looking out for other qualities. So those who have done it before, had the greater advantage. And so you realize at the end of the day, quite a number of them as teachers, like you said, professionals, and they are going through this training to actually prepare them well to be able to do the work we expect them to do.
Let us take a returning officer, for instance. Who qualifies to be a returning officer?
You should be, of course, a Ghanaian, and you should have a minimum of first degree.
Okay.
And should have worked with the EC for some time. At least you need some experience. And you should be able to exhibit political neutrality. We do know that we all have some interest, one way or the other, by way of where you lean politically. But then you should not be known to be an active member of a party.
How are you able to verify that? How are you able to verify that?
These guys, the officials are picked from the communities. And the regulations, the CI 91 requires that the list is made available to parties. So if you have any objection, they raise all that. And so if you're in the community and you are known to be an active party member, and here you come working for us, it will be obvious. And so once the information gets to us, we do the necessary investigation, then we take the appropriate decisions and drop you.
Now, let's talk about remuneration and resources for this program. Usually, in the past, you always hear some of these officers complaining about their remuneration. They're not being paid even for allowances for these registration, and post the election having to complain so many times and using all sorts of means to have the EC pay them. Do you have all that you need for this registration for the training program in terms of remuneration for these officers?
Yes. Resources, financial resources, material, and the personnel needed for our training are all in place. And that should not be a problem at all. In terms of allowance for officials after the actual work, we have advanced with arrangement to ensure that when you talk about the past, people delay in the payment of salary allowances. With the current regime, the EC, we have instituted a means of payment, and that is to say you have to get a bank account. So we pay them through their banks. And so that is a better option, and it's yielding better results. There are a few challenges, though, where some of these operatives provide wrong account numbers that belong to a relation and not them. And some even provide usage accounts and other things. So a few challenges which are always resolved, and they get their money once they are due for.
So you want to assure us that we're not going to have a situation where people will be protesting because the EC has failed to pay them?
No, we wouldn't have it. When we enroll you and you provide the needed information with regards to your bank details, you will get your money when it's ready.
We're wrapping up on this. Just a few words before you go, Mr. Boyde.
Yes, we are preparing to conduct the registration, and on our parts, we're making everything possible to make sure that the personnel that we put out there will live up to expectation. We have to behave professionally. But on the part of the public, we will require that they support us. And if you don't understand anything, any aspect of our process, just approach us for clarification. We are working together as a team. It is the interest of Ghana that we are all fighting for. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bodu, I want you to hold the line for me.